Okay, let us quickly get into the amazing body of knowledge today. Okay, this body of knowledge is, like I told you, it's white belt, yellow belt, and green belt. Okay, this white belt consists of 3 chapters, yellow belt consists of up to 11 chapters, and the green belt goes up to 24 chapters. So we are at present, we are in chapter 3. Okay, we are in chapter 3. Let me just. We are in chapter 3. Okay, the other process improvements. We've already covered these two topics Six Sigma. The other process improvements, quality tools, we have gone through n number of things: lean process management, total quality management, business process re-engineering. Last time we went through this Rumler-Brochet model. Okay, how many of you were present? Type me in the chat box. Let me open up this chat box. Okay, how many of you were present during this Rumler-Brochet? Okay, there are a lot of people, quite a few people. Okay, excellent. So quite a few people were there during last time. Now is the time for Scrum. Okay, is the time for Scrum. All of you type SCRUM in the chat box. And I think if time permits, we'll also cover these two best practices, process improvement programs. I wouldn't call best practices, but each one of them are best practice at that for some point in time. Okay, so this process improvement program. Good, thank you very much. All right, so let me switch on to this amazing session. Okay, so in chapter 3, we saw the other process improvement methods, quality improvement methods. Those are all like, Agile, Scrum, Kaizen, BPR, TQM, and we have gone through lean process management. Okay, in one of the sessions, we've gone through TQM in one of the sessions. We have gone through business process reengineering, BPR, in one of the sessions. And last session, we've gone through Rumler-Brochet model. And today we are going to see, what do you see on the screen? Type in the chat box. Okay, you see Scrum, so you're on the right screen. Okay, before Scrum, what was the methodology that was followed in software industry? Let's see how many of you answer this question. Before Scrum, what was the methodology followed in the automobile industry? Sorry, software industry. Yes, waterfall. All of you type WF in the chat box, waterfall. Okay, so what I'll do is, I'll just stop sharing the screen. I will explain you quickly, briefly, like a child, okay, the difference between waterfall and Scrum methodology. Okay? Okay, if you're all ready, just type ready in the chat box or put an R in the chat box if you're ready. All right, thank you very much. So let me share this. In between, I think 2013-14, I was the chief operating officer of one software company. Okay, do I know coding? No, I don't know coding. But what I was doing there, if you see, I have almost got myself trained on any best business practices that you name so far. You name TPM, yes, I've gone through that. TQM, I've gone through this course, I've implemented this methodology. If you talk about Lean, if you talk about Six Sigma, if you talk about Kaizen, if you talk about Agile, if you talk about Scrum, I went through Scrum methodology. I'm a certified Scrum master, okay? Or even, I'm also a doctorate in Lean methodology. And even if you talk about TOC, yes, I'm a certified TOC expert, okay? Recently, there is something called as a scaling up methodology. The reason that I'm sharing all this is, in software development, the thinking behind this Agile and Scrum is nothing but elimination of waste and reduction of variation and total employee involvement. Okay, improving the process. Suppose if you want to develop an application like WhatsApp, in a typical waterfall methodology, what they would do is, they would write all the requirements of the chatting, okay? Like, I must be able to chat one-to-one. I must be able to chat with the group. I have to put images. I have to be able to share videos. I have to be able to share the screen. Okay, I should be able to accommodate 1,000+ people. I should be able to do a video call, etc., etc. The customer will have hell a lot of requirements. Okay. How many of you can relate to what I'm saying? Just type ICR in the chat box. I can relate in the chat box. Hell a lot of requirements, right? And these requirements in the software industry, it is called backlog. All of you type BL for backlog in the chat box. Now, what happens? What the limitation of this? There is nothing wrong in the customer giving this list of requirements, and the entire tower has to be twin towers. For example, if it has some 100 floors, the entire tower has to be completed in order for you to occupy. Not necessary. In order to hand over the tower, twin towers, it's not required that the entire tower has to be built. If the basement, first floor and second floor is built, you can go and occupy and you can start collecting the rent. How many of you are with me? Type WU, or agree with me, just type agree in the chat box. Because the twin tower project can take a few years, couple of years maybe, or 3 years maybe, right? But if you're able to construct a few floors in a matter of months and then start using it, on the top of it, you can keep building. Similarly, for the software also, WhatsApp did not add all the features at one shot. First, it enabled you to text. I text somebody in the US and they send me text back. I was happy with that. This is called as useful functionality of the product. Now, I take that requirement from the backlog. Backlog is a bucket list of requirements. I cannot do all the list of requirements at one shot. So what I'll do, I will do a small, digestible, doable portion of that backlog and do it in 15 days and deliver, so that at least they can start chatting with each other. This is called as a sprint. All of you type SPRINT in the chat box. Sprint. Sprint. You just race and go to one place and then collect the next requirement. Then go through one sprint. Ideally, a sprint is generally 15-day sprint or 1 month sprint. And at the end of every sprint, there is something called as a delivery of the sprint, where there is some functionality that is added which is useful to the customer, which the customer can use. At least they can chat. In the next sprint, they will be able to send some images. In the next sprint, maybe they'll share some videos also. In the next sprint, they'll be able to make an audio call. In the next sprint, they'll be able to make a video call. In the other sprint, they'll be able to make a group video call. In the next sprint, they'll be able to share the presentation. That's how WhatsApp developed. How many of you can relate to what I'm saying? Type ICR. I can relate in the chat box. Now, the reason this agile methodology, Scrum methodology, agile means flexible, okay, was very useful is because if you cater to all the requirements, if you try to cater to all the requirements, what happens is, by the time the customer does not get any value, first of all, because he has to wait for 1 year to deliver the full this thing. Second is, customer requirements also keep changing. Okay, they say, oh, I don't want this first. I wanted that first. Right? Or the technology must have changed. And whatever that you are using might become outdated by the time you complete the software. But at least by the time that you have developed a portion of it, some useful portion was delivered to the customer. Okay, so if my explanation was clear, useful, fantastic, awesome, give me an inspiration, put something in the chat box and let me share the screen back. All right. Thank you very much, Somanchi. Thank you, Prasant. Thank you, everyone. Okay, I'm coming back to the screen. Scrum. So, Scrum is an agile project management framework that emphasizes on iterative development. All of you type IDC in the chat box. Iterative development and collaboration. It organizes work into short, fixed-length iterations called sprints that promotes flexibility and adaptability in responding to the changing requirements. Now, this is how people have started visually representing a sprint. Let me just explain to this, okay? The Scrum is a method used in technical departments for quickly developing new products or adding features to the existing ones. It is designed to help teams efficiently handle continuous improvement, meet tight deadlines, okay? Usually lasting 2 to 4 weeks. 2 weeks means 15 days and 4 weeks means 1 month. Without the need to significantly increase work hours or hire more staff. Because it's not like, you hire so many people and start developing all the components of the software. No. Same people, they take a chunk, chewable chunk they call. And I call it as a chewable chunk. Okay. And then deliver it. Then let that digest, assimilate, and then again another chewable chunk. Right? So the Scrum is particularly useful for the speeding up release of software application. So let's go through the Scrum process. Now, project vision. This project might be project WhatsApp equivalent. Okay. So you can imagine any software like Ola, Uber. There are a lot of alternatives to Ola and Uber, right? Okay. Then we do what is called as a release planning. First thing is called as a project vision. All of you type PV in the chat box, that is project vision. And then the release planning after PV, it is RP, which is release planning. Now, once the release is planned, then from the backlog they take and they do the implementation, they do the review, they do the retrospect. Okay, this is called as a sprint. All of you type S in the chat box for sprint. And there are some rituals that are followed during the sprint implementation process. We have called as, daily Scrum rituals. We'll talk about it in some time. Super. Now they will deploy, they'll do the deployment, right? So as I told you, the bucket list of requirement is called as a backlog. Backlog is a bucket list of requirements. There is a backlog. From backlog, the team will decide, okay, the next 15 days, what will be delivered? So they take a chewable chunk. They estimate the resources. Okay, I have so many coding people, I have so many testing people. And accordingly, they set up the board, the Kanban board. Okay, so what is that, in the backlog? What is that? We move from backlog to to-do list. Okay, what is that in progress list? And what is that done list, tested list? You can have various boards. It's in the coding stage, it's in the architectural stage, or it's in the testing stage, it's in the delivery stage, etc., etc. And then you implement, you review. Retrospect is, after you deliver, what are the lessons learned? That is what is done in the retrospect. So we also call the backlog as a user stories. User stories. Why user stories? Because user may tell a big story about what they want, right? I want this, I want this, I want that, all that stuff. Okay. So as I told you, this backlog would be 2 to 4 weeks. And then the definition of done should be very, very clear. The customer should agree on, okay, this is what we call as a nice delivery, right? So there is a product owner, there is a scrum master, there are people who conduct the scrum meetings, the team is there, and we will talk about details about the rituals soon. All of you type rack in the chat box. Role, artifact, and ceremony. We also call ceremonies, okay? Role, artifacts, and ceremonies. Okay, thank you very much. Amazing participation today. There's something called as daily stand-up meeting. I'll talk about Scrum role, Scrum artifact, and Scrum ceremony. This is one of the important slides, okay? This is one of the important slides. And you see, we have told that there is a product owner, there is a development team, there is a Scrum master. And there are stakeholders who are outside, right? Who directly or indirectly get influenced by the product or process. Now, I've already explained to you about the backlog, which is the bucket list of the requirements. And then we have the sprint planning meeting. Okay, we'll see, okay, what's the chewable chunk that we'll take out of the backlog bucket of backlog requirements. And then this chewable chunk is we'll allocate to the coders, and then we'll agree to deliver to the customer. And then we run through it, we code it, we test it. Okay, we see the functionality, everything we do. So we take the sprint backlog, and this is a sprint goal that we'll decide to deliver this. And then we have sprint retrospective. Retrospective is, okay, after delivery, what was the feedback received from the customer? What do we do? In the retrospective meeting also, we do, okay, what should we start doing? What should we stop doing? What should we keep doing or continue doing? Start, stop, continue, or keep doing. Okay, all of you type SSK in the chat box. SSK, start, stop, and keep. Start doing, stop doing, and keep doing. And some people call SSC, start doing, stop doing, and continue doing. Whichever way, fine, as long as you understand this. Okay, amazing. Let me focus here. So you see that this particular blue role is a Scrum role, and this golden is a Scrum artifact, and this is a Scrum ceremony. Okay, what are the Scrum ceremonies here which you, okay, let me completely show this and ask you some question out of this, okay? How many Scrum ceremonies do you see in this picture? Let's see, give a number. How many Scrum ceremonies do you see in this picture? Abhishek Kumar says 5. Very good. What are the Scrum ceremonies? So sprint planning meeting, sprint retrospective, sprint review, product backlog refinement meeting, and daily stand-up Scrum meeting. These are all the Scrum ceremonies. Okay. Good. Fantastic. So the second question, logical question, right? How many Scrum roles are there do you see on the screen? How many Scrum roles do you see on the screen? 4 roles we see. We see the product owner, development team, Scrum master, along with the stakeholders. 4 roles that we see. Very good. Excellent. Now, last question is, how many Scrum artifacts that you see on the screen? How many Scrum artifacts do you see on the screen? 3 artifacts you can see on the screen. Okay, 3. Okay. And these artifacts are product backlog, sprint backlog, and sprint code. Okay. So if this slide and if this explanation was amazing, useful, fantastic, awesome, put it in the chat box. Let me draw a source of inspiration from what you have typed in the chat box. Thank you, Pradyot. Thank you, Sumanti Vasu. Andre, hi, Andre. Okay. Okay. Now, Scrum is similar to other ways of making things better in the book because many projects need technical help or changes. In some Scrum projects, there are mainly 3 parts. Okay. There are 3 main parts. Step 1, getting ready. Pre-game, okay. Team looks at information and what the business needs. Very, very important. What the business needs. They use this to plan the new product, or it can be existing product which is to be updated to a new technology, right? Or security update or whatever it is. Apple releases security updates, right? That also follows the Scrum process. Or it can completely release a new product, all right? This often means that turning business ideas into computer and technical plans. That's a step 1. That's called project vision and release planning. The second one is doing the work, that is actual playing the game. See, this is project vision and release planning is pre-game. This is doing the work is a real game. The team will start creating the product in small steps called as sprints, which I've explained to you. Because the customer will ask a lot of laundry list, okay? Bucket list of requirements. Laundry list of requirements. After each step, they check and make sure that it's worked good before going to the next one. This keeps them make working products faster. So this is what is the game that we are playing in this, which I've explained to you. The third step is called as the post game, after the work is done. So that is the deployment. This is the deployment into the, put it in the server, deploy in the server, right? Maintenance, whatever it is, right? So even though they check as they go, the team still makes sure that the product is high quality. This is done by testing and making sure that everything is ready before releasing the product. Okay, now, while the project teams are checking and measuring the progress, the technical teams are using Scrum ideas to meet the product development needs for improvement projects on time. Understand this properly. Project teams are checking and measuring the progress. Technical departments also use Scrum ideas to meet development needs for improvement project on time. Very important. All right, now are you ready for question answer session? Type ready in the chat box if you're ready for a question answer session. Give me an R, that is enough. Just type an R in the chat box. I have only one question, I guess, for this. All right, all of you are ready. Now, the obvious question. What is the primary purpose of Scrum in project development for agile programming endeavors? Answers. A, to extend project timelines for better quality outcomes, to exclusively focus on business and process steps, to meet continuous technical design and improvement needs within a short time frame, and D, to replace traditional testing and validation process. Let's see how many of you get the answers right. Amazing. The correct answer is to meet continuous technical design and improvement needs within short period of time. All of you deserve pizzas, burgers, and chocolates. Let me send a chocolate from my side. Okay, this is the chocolate from my side. Okay, all of you send chocolates, pizzas, burgers, sweets, whatever that is, right? Now, the customer experience method, that is one of the process improvements method. This customer experience method, all of you type CEM in the chat box. Customer experience method. If you have heard about this method, type KNOW if you know about this. If you don't know, type DNK in the chat box. Okay, most of you don't know. Right. Now, the Virgin Group developed it. Okay, I think it's Virginia, right? And in the 90s and became popular in the 2000. Now, what we'll do is just to make sure that I give a proper time on this customer experience method, because this is a very, very important method. Okay, so I'll take on to the next class.